This is a critical message for anyone over the age of 60. A common, everyday fruit, one you've likely enjoyed for decades, could be secretly increasing your stroke risk as you rest at night. Without any prior symptoms or warnings, you fall asleep feeling perfectly normal, only to awaken with the terrifying inability to speak, stand, or control one side of your body. This may sound alarming, but as a physician specializing in brain health, this is a scenario I have witnessed far too often. And it's not triggered by smoking or unhealthy foods, but by fruit. Indeed, a food that appears so wholesome and safe can pose a threat as your body adapts to aging. Past the age of 60, your body's systems, including your kidneys, liver, blood vessels, and brain, process sugar, potassium, and acid differently. The combination of medications, reduced circulation, and dehydration during the night can accumulate, transforming a simple fruit into a hidden danger. That is why I want to guide you today through the 6 fruits that could be causing more harm than benefit, particularly if consumed at the wrong time or with the wrong foods. If you're finding this information valuable and want more science-based advice for protecting your brain and heart, please consider subscribing to Health 365. Also, let me know this topic resonates with you by leaving a comment with the word yes. The fruits on this list and the reasons they're here might just surprise you. Let's begin with a very popular one, my friend. Let's discuss something familiar but potentially hazardous: bananas. Yes, that familiar, comforting, and sweet fruit that we have all cherished since we were young. They are known for being easy on the stomach, packed with nutrients, and generally considered a safe choice for a snack. However, after you turn 60, consuming bananas, especially the overripe ones, may not be as benign as you believe. Here is the reason. As bananas mature, the complex starches convert into simple sugars. This is the reason they develop a sweeter flavor as they ripen. But as the taste improves, the effect on your system becomes riskier. An overripe banana has a significantly elevated glycemic index. This means it can cause a rapid surge in your blood sugar, which is a major concern if you are over 60. Why is that? As we get older, our body's capacity to regulate potassium, blood sugar, and blood pressure diminishes. Our kidney function slows, our bodies become less sensitive to insulin, and our blood vessels lose their flexibility. This means that a seemingly harmless, soft, speckled banana could dramatically elevate your blood sugar, raise your blood pressure, and potentially disrupt your heart's rhythm due to its high potassium content. Consider the case of Margaret, a 76-year-old retired librarian from Illinois. She had a daily routine of eating 1 or 2 very ripe bananas each morning, often blending them into a smoothie. She believed this was a healthy way to begin her day. However, one morning, she felt dizzy upon waking, and her speech was noticeably slurred. Her husband immediately took her to the emergency room. The medical team diagnosed her with a mild ischemic stroke. Her blood pressure had surged overnight, and her potassium levels were unusually high. They explained that while the bananas were not the sole cause, the combination of concentrated sugar, a heavy potassium load, and her state of morning dehydration had created a dangerous convergence of factors. After this event, Margaret made a simple adjustment. She switched to eating smaller, less ripe bananas, and only after she had hydrated with water and consumed some protein. Her energy levels rose, and her blood pressure stabilized. The lesson here: bananas themselves are not the villain, but overripe bananas, particularly when eaten in large quantities or without other food, can silently increase the risk of stroke in vulnerable seniors. And it's important to know, bananas are not the only fruit carrying this hidden risk. Next, we'll examine grapes. Small, sweet, and refreshing, yet they carry a surprisingly potent sugar load that could be even more dangerous. Grapes, they appear so innocuous, don't they? Small, sweet, and crisp, often served with a meal, added to salads, or shared as a light snack with the grandchildren. But for an individual over the age of 60, grapes might not be as safe as they look. Here's why. Grapes are essentially concentrated bursts of sugar in a very small package. Even the seedless varieties, particularly the super sweet types found in most supermarkets, are loaded with glucose and fructose. When you consume a handful, especially without other food, that sugar is rapidly absorbed directly into your circulation. As our bodies age, our insulin response becomes less efficient. Our blood vessels become more fragile. That immediate sugar rush doesn't simply provide a momentary boost of energy, it places stress on your brain and heart in ways you might not perceive. Within those delicate vessels, sugar triggers microinflammation, microscopic irritation, and swelling that the body attempts to mend by creating clots. These clots are initially tiny and you won't feel them, but over time, day after day, that risk accumulates. Then one morning, you might find yourself struggling with balance, or the words you want to say just won't form. This is precisely the situation that occurred with Mrs. Evelyn Morris, 79, a retired music teacher from Colorado. She was mentally sharp, lived independently, and cherished her daily routines, which included a mid-morning bowl of red grapes while she read. On some days, she would consume 2 cups without a second thought. Then, one afternoon, while penning a birthday card for her grandson, she felt her hand begin to tremble. Moments later, she couldn't recall how to spell the word congratulations. Her daughter rushed her to the hospital. The diagnosis was a mini stroke, technically a transient ischemic attack. TIA. Her blood sugar had spiked, and her lab results revealed low-grade inflammation and pre-diabetic indicators she was unaware she had. She believed she was doing everything correctly, but even fruit, when consumed improperly, can silently become a danger. So, this is the advice I now give my patients. Never consume grapes on an empty stomach. Do not eat them by the bowlful. Instead, savor a small handful and always combine them with a few almonds or a piece of cheese to buffer the sugar's impact. And absolutely avoid grapes in the evening. Your body requires stable blood flow during sleep, not sugar surges. If you are diabetic or take blood pressure medication, consult your doctor before making grapes a daily habit, because even something this small can quietly pose a significant risk, especially when you are not looking for it. Now, if you found the information about grapes surprising, just wait until we discuss pineapple. That sweet, tropical flavor you savor after dinner could be quietly affecting your brain as you sleep. I'll explain why next. For older adults, particularly those on medication or managing circulatory problems, pineapple can secretly set the stage for increased stroke risk. Let me elaborate on why. Pineapple is a source of a potent enzyme known as bromelain. In modest quantities, it can help with protein breakdown and improve digestion. However, in larger quantities, or when taken with blood thinners or other medications that influence clotting, bromelain can actually inhibit your body's ability to form clots effectively. In simpler terms, it can thin your blood excessively. This creates an opportunity for a more severe event, a brain bleed, a type of stroke that is significantly more difficult to recover from. But this is not its only hazard. Pineapple is also extremely high in sugar and has a high glycemic index, meaning it floods your circulation with sugar very quickly. This is particularly hazardous if you eat it after your evening meal when your metabolism is slowing down and you are not using that energy. The sugar remains, circulates, and strains your blood vessels while you are asleep. Then there is the issue of acid. Pineapple is one of the most acidic fruits you can buy. For many seniors, this can covertly provoke acid reflux during the night, sometimes without any noticeable burning sensation. This reflux can lead to minute amounts of stomach acid entering your airway as you sleep, which in turn reduces the oxygen supply to your brain. This type of low oxygen stress has been directly associated with strokes that occur in the early morning, which are often the most severe. Let me tell you about Mrs. Clara Hughes, 77, a retired choir director from North Carolina. She was convinced she was making healthy choices. Instead of desserts, like cake or cookies, she would have a few slices of fresh pineapple after dinner each night. But one morning, she woke up feeling dizzy and was unable to walk steadily. Her daughter observed that her speech was slurred. At the hospital, scans confirmed she had suffered a small posterior stroke, which impacted her balance and memory. Her blood sugar was elevated, her platelet counts were abnormal, and tests indicated signs of reflux-related oxygen drops during her sleep. It wasn't a single issue. It was the combination of sugar, acid, and bromelain, all from the fruit she considered healthy. So this is my recommendation. Enjoy pineapple earlier in the day and only in small amounts. Never consume it on an empty stomach, and do not combine it with blood-thinning medications without your doctor's explicit approval. And crucially, never eat pineapple before going to bed. Your brain requires rest and a consistent oxygen supply, not unexpected challenges, because even a food that tastes light and healthy can become a hidden risk, especially overnight. And if pineapple is a concern, wait until you hear about watermelon, the fruit we associate with hydration. In some situations, it may be subtly dehydrating your brain. Let's explore that next. Yes, watermelon, the quintessential summer treat. It's light, succulent, refreshing, and composed of 90% water. The common belief is that it's the ideal food for staying hydrated, especially on a hot day. But for seniors, watermelon's effects can be deceptively complex. Here's a fact most people do not know. Watermelon functions as a natural diuretic. This means it increases urination, which may seem trivial until you consider that many older adults are already prescribed water pills or blood pressure medications that also work to remove excess fluid from the body. If you consume a large portion of watermelon in the evening, particularly after you've taken your medication, you could be creating a scenario for nighttime dehydration. This is when your body loses an excessive amount of fluid while you are asleep, and you are not even aware it's happening. So what are the consequences? When you become dehydrated, your blood thickens. Its flow becomes slower, more like syrup, and this thickened blood elevates the risk of clot formation, especially within the narrow arteries that come with age. Couple that with the natural drop in blood pressure during sleep, and you have created the ideal environment for a silent stroke. Let me share the story of Mr. Howard Lynn, 82, a retired postal worker from Indiana. He was doing all the right things, walking every day, avoiding sugary treats, and actively trying to maintain his health. One of his daily habits was to enjoy 2 or 3 large slices of watermelon after his evening meal to cool off and feel hydrated. But one morning, he woke up feeling dizzy. When he attempted to get out of bed, he collapsed. In the ER, his blood pressure was alarmingly low, and his lab work indicated dehydration and thickened blood. A scan confirmed he had suffered a small ischemic stroke, likely triggered by a clot that formed overnight when his blood flow had become too sluggish. Howard had no inkling that the watermelon, which he viewed as a healthy choice, was actually drawing water out of his system, not replenishing it. And when combined with his diuretic medication, it created a dangerous imbalance. So, what is the key message? Enjoy watermelon earlier in the day and in smaller portions. If you are on water pills, speak with your doctor before making it a regular part of your diet. Consider pairing it with electrolytes, like a small pinch of salt or a little coconut water, to help your body better retain hydration. And please, refrain from eating it at night. If you experience symptoms like a dry mouth, morning dizziness, or feeling unsteady when you wake up, do not dismiss these signals. They could be your body's way of whispering that something is amiss. Now, watermelon might be a surprise, but what about oranges? A fruit long celebrated for its vitamin C and benefits for heart health. Could it truly have a dangerous interaction with your medications? Let's investigate further. Next, a glass of orange juice at breakfast, a sliced orange on the dinner table, or perhaps even one placed in a Christmas stocking by your grandchildren. But here is a fact most seniors have never been informed about. Oranges, and particularly orange juice, can quietly disrupt the effectiveness of your medications. It's not solely about the sugar, although a single glass of orange juice can cause a rapid blood sugar spike. The primary issue is a natural compound present in citrus fruits like oranges, grapefruit, and Seville oranges. This compound is called furanocoumarine. It's a complex word, but this is what it does. Furanocoumarine interferes with specific enzymes in your liver, namely those responsible for metabolizing many common prescription drugs. When this occurs, your body either retains an excessive amount of the medication or fails to process it effectively. This means that a blood pressure medication you have been taking for years could suddenly become too potent, causing your blood pressure to drop to unsafe levels. Or a statin for cholesterol could accumulate and lead to muscle pain or cognitive fogginess. fogginess, or a blood thinner might not function correctly, rendering your blood unstable and increasing your stroke risk without any warning. This is not just a theoretical risk, I have witnessed it in my practice. Consider Mr. Elbert Bryant, 79, a retired bus driver from Georgia. He had a cherished morning routine. He enjoyed a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice with his breakfast, which he took at the same time as his heart and cholesterol medications. He referred to it as his sunshine in a glass. But over a period of time, he began to feel dizzy, lightheaded upon standing, and a bit confused on some mornings. One day, he collapsed while getting up from his recliner. The doctors found that he had experienced a minor ischemic stroke, and his blood analysis revealed dangerously high levels of his medications. Although he had not altered his prescribed dosages, his daily orange juice habit had changed things. The citrus compounds had inhibited his liver's capacity to break down the drugs, and his system had become silently overloaded. So, this is the guidance I offer to all my older patients. Limit or avoid orange juice entirely if you are on medications such as statins, calcium channel blockers, or blood thinners. Do not take your pills with citrus. If you are uncertain, consult your pharmacist or doctor. If you enjoy the flavor of citrus, a small amount of lemon or lime in water is a safer alternative with fewer interactions. Because at this stage of your life, even something as routine as an orange can disturb your body's internal balance without you ever knowing it. And if that has you reconsidering your morning habits, wait until you hear my thoughts on mangoes, a sweet tropical delight that could be elevating your blood sugar and taxing your liver simultaneously. Let's discuss that next. Mangoes, soft, juicy, and naturally sweet. They feel like an indulgent tropical treat, a fruit that seems far too enjoyable to be a threat. But if you are over 60, and especially if you take medications for blood pressure, heart rhythm, or cholesterol, mangoes might be causing more harm than benefit. Here is why. The mango is one of the most sugar-dense fruits available. A single cup of ripe mango can have close to 45 grams of natural sugar, which is more sugar than you'd find in a donut. Now, consider the effect of that on an aging body. Your insulin response is less robust, and your blood vessels are more delicate. A sudden surge of sugar creates inflammation within your arteries, particularly the ones that supply your brain. This inflammation can lead to tiny fissures in the vessel walls. And how does your body respond to a fissure? It forms a blood clot to seal it. In a younger person, this might not pose a significant problem, but in a senior with already narrowed arteries, that clot can easily obstruct blood flow to the brain, resulting in a stroke. Mangoes also have a compound called mangiferin. It sounds innocuous, but mangiferin can interfere with your liver's ability to metabolize medications, especially those that rely on the cytochrome P450 enzyme system. This includes a wide range of common drugs for heart conditions, cholesterol, and blood pressure. Consequently, instead of your body safely eliminating these medications, they accumulate in your system. You won't notice it initially until you begin to feel dizzy, weak, or worse, until your blood pressure plummets or your heart rhythm becomes irregular without any warning. Let me share a real-life example. Mr. William Booker, 83, a retired firefighter from Nevada, decided to adopt a cleaner diet by substituting his afternoon cookies with slices of dried mango. He was also on medication for atrial fibrillation and high blood pressure. After several weeks, he started to wake up feeling lightheaded. One morning, he collapsed as he was getting out of bed. His wife saw that the left side of his face was drooping. At the hospital, scans confirmed a mild ischemic stroke. His blood tests showed that his medication levels were unusually high, even though he was taking the correct dose. The reason? His liver was unable to process the drugs effectively due to his daily mango consumption. So, my advice to you is this. If you do enjoy mango, consume only a few small pieces, and only during the daytime. Never eat mango before bed, and be especially cautious with dried mango, as it is even more concentrated. Always pair it with a source of protein or fat, like nuts or cheese, to slow down the sugar absorption. Most importantly, if you are taking any prescription medications for your heart or blood pressure, speak with your doctor first. Now that we have reviewed these 6 surprising fruits, you might be feeling a bit uncertain about what is genuinely safe to eat. That is perfectly understandable. Recognizing these risks is the first step towards safeguarding your brain and heart for the future. As we age, even our healthy habits require reevaluation. Fruits that were once beneficial can now quietly work against us, especially when they interact with medications or are eaten at the wrong time. This is not meant to cause fear. It is about fostering awareness. You do not need to eliminate fruit from your diet. You simply need to consume it more thoughtfully, in smaller portions, earlier in the day, combined with protein or healthy fats, and always under your doctor's guidance. Your brain, your heart, and your ability to live independently are invaluable and worth protecting. If this video has helped you reassess your dietary choices, please like this video, subscribe to Health 365, and leave a comment below with the word aware to let us know that you are taking proactive steps for your health. And remember, you have navigated this far in life with great strength and wisdom. Now is the time to apply that wisdom to how you eat.